This video shows you how to select a specific attribute from a dataset and how to select a subset of observations from a dataset in RapidMiner. So here I will use this dataset, health insurance, and with 7 attributes: age, sex, BMI, children, smoker, region, and the charges. So let's firstly take a look on attribute selection. Now it's gonna require us to use some RapidMiner operators. We can get it from the operators panel. In operators panel, we care about the second folder called blending, and it gives us the manipulation operation on attributes, examples, and table and values. So in this video, we're gonna need the operators from the first 2 folders. So let's select the attribute first. So you're gonna go to the attributes folder, and you can see here is one called selection, and that is the one we're gonna use. The name of the operator called select attribute. After you find this operator, and we can simply drag it to our process. Select attribute, the node, it looks like a normal RapidMiner operator with input and with output. It depends on the type of operator. Some RapidMiner operator may have multiple inputs or multiple outputs. But here is a very simple one. Take a called example set. So basically a data set as input, and a gives you 2 output. One is a example set after RapidMiner apply the operation on your inputs. And the second one called the original. So that is an unchanged one. So exactly the same as your input. So now what we want to do is we want to select the attribute from our data set. And we don't want to link our data set with result directly. We would like to link our data set with our select attribute node. So you can link it here, and you see the arrow disappear because now it reads the input. And what we want to see is we just want to see our select attribute. So we simply can connect our output example set with a result. And now if we run that, and what we'll see is still the same. It looks like a whole data set with all 7 attributes. Why is that? Because we did not change the settings on select attributes. We did not tell RapidMiner which attribute we want to select. And we can modify that part by modifying the settings or the parameter of this select attribute node. For each node in RapidMiner, you can simply click it. And on the right-hand side, you will see the parameters panel. And the parameters panel will give you the settings for the particular operator. And different operator will have different parameters, and you're gonna see a different panel here. But for this select attribute, and it just asks you for the attribute list that you would like to select. And by default, it's selecting all the attributes. So that is why our output looks exactly like our data set. And here is a drop down that we can see. And usually we can either select a single attribute, it's just a 1. And we need to give a name of attribute. You can type here directly. Say I want to do age. Okay. Or you can click the drop down, and which gives you a list of all columns or attributes that you have in the data sets. So let's just do age, and you don't need to click save button. You can run the process directly, and you see only the age column got selected. So go back, and now if you say I want to select multiple attributes, and you can change the filter tab to subset. So subset takes a subset of attributes, which can be 1 or can be multiple. And then in the attributes, ask you for a list of selected attributes. Here is a button. You can click it and to see a pop-up window and ask you to select specific attributes. And you can select the attribute you want. You can select multiple, let's do charges and the children, and move it to the right under selected attributes and apply it. So after that, we run that, you will see the children and charges column got selected. And there are other ways to select attribute. You can select by some regular expression. You can select by value tab and other filters. But usually we do the first two. Either we select a single or we select a subset. All right. So that is one for attribute selection. And now I can delete this node either by selecting the operator and click delete button, or you can right click it and click the delete. So now I got it removed. And then we're gonna go to the next part and to select the subset of observations based on some conditions. And we can go to our operator. Now we don't need the attributes. We're gonna go to the next folder called examples. Examples, the first one called filter, and that is the one we would like to use. And we want to select a subset. That means that we would like to filter our example and only keep the observations that we want. So filter examples, that's the operator we want. Okay, we can drag it here. Another way you find the operator is that now if you know the name of operator, you can simply type the name and saying select attribute, and you will see it gives you the operator. So you don't need to click the folders one by one and find the operator. You can simply type the name and to search it. So it's another way that you can find the operators. And now we do filter examples, and we still want to link our data set with filter example and link filter example with our result. So basically, we want to add the filter example operator into this process. So I showed you one way that we can manually link the nodes. An easier way is that you can move your operator on the line and then drop it. So it's automatically connected and become as a middle point and in the whole process. And that is another way you can do. So again, similar like select attributes, we want to do filter examples and we need to give some conditions and how do you want to filter it. If you click it, and you're gonna see the parameters, it has a filters button that you can add filters. So filters right over here is a comparison condition. It's just like what we use in Excel, and you need to select a particular column, and let's just do age, and then set a comparison operator. So it's set equal to, not equal to, greater or less than, and whether like column contains missing value or no. Let's simply do a greater than 30. Okay, so that is one condition. So I can do that. And if you only want to do one condition, then now you can click the OK. And if you want to do multiple conditions, you can also do that and see the button next to OK. It's called the add entry. So that is the one you can use to add a second condition. So now let's do age larger than 30 and age is smaller than 60. So I want to get the people between 30 to 60. Now I have two conditions. And one more thing to do is that, remember if we have multiple conditions and we need to use some logical operator to connect them. So that what's the relationship or logical relationship between these two conditions? Is that and or or? RapidMiner provides you this choice below right over here, and you can see whether you want the system to match all the conditions or match any of the conditions. So match all means that the age must be greater than 30 and less than 60. If you're gonna do match any, it means that age can be larger than 30, or the age can be less than 60. And in our case, we want to do match all. So we're gonna do this match all and click OK. And now let's run that. So after you run it, first thing you can notice is that the number of examples becomes smaller from 1,338 to 780. So some examples got filtered out. And if you sort by this age column, you can see the smallest value is 31 and the largest value is 59. So it means that our condition got applied successfully. If you want to change it, you can go back to design and add a filter, and that's your filters. You can change it to something else. You can remove it. You can add a new condition on saying BMI, for example. C equal to 20, and I want to do match all. Okay, so that is saying you can adjust. One more thing I want to mention is that for one filter example node, and yes, you can put multiple conditions, but the logical operator among those conditions can only be one. So either you match all the conditions listed here, or you match any conditions listed here. If you have 3 conditions, saying for example, so I'm adding a note here and write it down. So for example, you would like to have a condition with age larger than 30 and age smaller than 40, or BMI larger than 30. So you have these 3 conditions. However, the logical operator is different. So the AND for the first 2 and the OR for the third one. In this case, you cannot put all the 3 conditions in one filter examples, and you're gonna need to add another filter examples. So let's firstly add another filter examples right over here. And now let's think about this condition. So our idea is that we want to match BMI larger than 30 or the first one. So we our required condition, let me see. So we are actually asking for 2 data sets, and one satisfied with the first 2 conditions, and another one satisfied with a second condition. So here, what we want to do is that for the first filter example, we're gonna set for age, age larger than 30 and the age smaller than 40, and want to match all. Okay, so that's the normal one. And then we want this selected data set to be included in our final result. And then for the filter example, the last one right over here, so the last output is called unmatched example. So those are the examples that's not selected. So if the age doesn't satisfy with these 2 conditions, and we want to check the BMI, and if BMI is larger than 30, we still want to keep them. So we're gonna connect our unmatched example to our second filter, and the filter condition is BMI larger than 30. Okay, so we only have one condition, and let's connect to the result. So let's see how it looks like. Right? So that's our first filter example right over here. So all the examples will have age between 30 to 40, and our second filter have age around the whole range, but all of their BMI is larger than 30. So it's 2 data sets, final output that satisfy with our condition, but they are separately. And now we would like to combine them together. If we want to combine them together, RapidMiner provides you one thing called a union. So union is the operator that can like append one data set to another. So now because we have two outputs and we would like to combine them together as one final output. So let's connect this two example set with our union. And then the union will move them together. So let's see how the union looks like by connecting the output from union to the result. Now, if you check that, our union gives us around 824 observations, which satisfy with a condition. So either age is between 30 to 40, or if age is not, and their BMI will be larger than 30. So that's satisfied with our condition right over here. And so that's the first one that we can make use of to filter examples and to deal with the conditions, two different logical operators and or. So I have another example that I can show you. What if I change it a little bit? I call it BMI larger than 30 and let's do age larger than 60 or age smaller than 20. So what if I change it in this way? So let me move lessons on the top. So that's the first one we did, and that's the second one we would like to do. Okay. So I can just create a new process. I just leave this result there, and let's create a new process. So in this case, I modified a little bit. So we still have to set up conditions and connected by AND. One condition is BMI larger than 30, and for all the people that with BMI larger than 30, I want to add another filter, additional filter on age. So in this case, I'm gonna do filter example again. Filter example. Let's do the first one, BMI larger than 30. BMI larger 30. Okay. And then for all the people with BMI larger than 30, we would like to filter it again. So let's put another filter example, connect them. How we would like to filter, we have two age conditions. So age larger than 60, and let's add another entry. So age is smaller than 20, okay? Before we click OK, and we'll see the logic here is or it's not and. So let's change it from match all to match any. So either it's the person is older than 60 or the person is younger than 20. So let's click OK and display it. And now if you run the process, and you will see two outputs. So two output, one is the union of previous one, and this one is the one we want. So for all the people, we will have BMI larger than 30, and for the ages, so it's either less than 20 or, and say 19, and then after 19, and we're gonna go above 60. So either it's less than 20 or it's above 60. So that matches with our condition. So then you can see, so here is our second one. So you can see one filter example can hold multiple conditions if you have, if you link them with the same logical operator, so either and or, and you can select a match all or match any. But if you have the example, I mean the case like what I just showed you, so you have multiple conditions, but you link them with different logical operators, and you can choose to use two filter examples and to handle different conditions. And then it depends on the logic of your condition, and you can just put the two filter examples node one by one, or probably you need to make use of this unmatched example set and make use of the union operator to append them together.